My gameplay sucks, or maybe not anymore. You see, I always got lots of criticism towards my extreme demons having bad gameplay, but I've been on a mission to fix that. In this video, I'll be building an entire layout to improve upon making my gameplay. In our last episode, I primarily focused on making fair and consistent gameplay, but in this video, I'll be focusing more on adding structuring to my layout, improving gameplay flow, and more, so let's begin. So when it comes to structuring, I did some pondering. I've seen all these awesome layouts that have really cool structuring, and at first wanted to go with this approach, but then I questioned, will this actually be practical for decorating in the future? Especially with the art style I make. And I don't really think so. So I decided to take an approach where I make some structures out of rough shapes and won't look super clean or pretty, but could be a nice little starting point for making fully decorated structures during the decoration process. And could solve the issue I've had with my previous levels where I'm just lost on how to structure when I try to decorate my layouts. Anyways, of course, this video is about actually making a layout, so let's get to that now. Here we are, we've got a new layout. So of course, the main focus of this layout is structuring. So I'm still really trying to figure out a good process for this and everything. I imagine that I'll kind of make my structuring like this. It'll kind of be like really rough shapes and like rough ideas of what the deco would look like. So the process I decided to test out here was to make the base gameplay first, rough outlines and everything, it looks ugly. Then add camera work and camera triggers next, and then structuring after that. And then move on to the next gameplay part and so on. Anyway, since I suck at giving commentary while I'm building, you're going to continue to watch this time lapse because I didn't say anything for 40 minutes straight for some reason. So if this were the other video, I would just be done here, but not today. So I'm actually going to do some camera work over here first. Let's get ourselves a static trigger. Alright, gotta find a good starting point for this camera. And then for some reason I had problems setting up the first camera trigger. Anyways, I did a good amount of building off camera where I finished the structuring, camera work, and added some pulses and a gradient sun in the background. And I finally finished the first part, but there was a problem. It was already day 3 by the time I was done with this part. Even though I was happy with how this was looking, it was just so time consuming to add pulses, the sun, the structuring, everything. Anyways, on day 4, it was time for the first build stream of this layout. Where are we? Welcome to Wingding. It's kind of hard. This one's going to be a bit harder than the last one. I think I made this a little too hard. Anyways, it was now day 4 and I only had one part done, so I really need to catch back up. I think I'll just do like a blue orb double click here. Okay, I'll do one of these clicks where you like hit a blue pad and then you jump right after. Okay, I gotta get grooving though. Like I have a lot to get to today. Alright, that click is horrible. Do something else there. At this point in the stream, I was discussing with my chat how useful indicators are. And I was really starting to reconsider how often I use them. Okay, maybe I'll just low-key stop using indicators. Besides for like duels, I'll keep them. Okay, so far this level has only used cube and robot and then like a small ship section. We'll go with a ball portal here. Things are going pretty well, but also there were some problems. Like for some reason, I accidentally made every part way too hard. Why are these so much harder than they look? And the other problem was time. This was taking so damn long. I went to finish this part with structuring and camera effects today, but at this point I was just trying to finish the base gameplay of this part with no structuring or anything. This was quite the pickle. Okay, I feel like a icon flicker is a mandatory here. Let me see if I can make that work. Okay, I think that kind of works. Anyways, that's pretty good for now. I still got some more to go today. I got a lot more to go today. Yeah, that is it for tonight's build stream. Anyways, later that night, I built a bit more gameplay, but not much. And then the next day on day 5, there's a bit of a problem. Basically, I made this part of the layout, and I need to like finish the camera work and background here. But I don't think y'all really want to watch me just like mess around with camera triggers and shaders and all that. And I think it'd be more interesting if I just do that stuff off stream. So yeah, I decided to procrastinate structuring and camera effects and everything even more, because I thought that'd be boring to do on the build stream. But oh my goodness, this is my process for this, just a complete mess. Like I don't know a good way to keep this to stay on track, but I was trying my best. I wish I was better at like predicting how hard a click I like put down will be. I'm just not good at that. Okay, you know what we'll do here is we'll probably just make 4 clicks that are like back and forth. Okay, I like that. That's fine. And then I continued on with the cycle, finding a part's flow and just adding spikes and more difficulty to it. Now we get to the very, very speedy drop. I can also make this like high CPS too, so the difficulty doesn't have to only be me squashing spikes around stuff. Anyways, I made the first few clicks of the drop and then ended for that day. I also finished up some of the structuring for this part, but this isn't even supposed to be a sunset. There's supposed to be a whole different background and pulses and everything, which I did not work on this day and just moved on. Anyways, on day 6, I did some off-camera building where I experimented with some pulses here and changed it to a nighttime background, and then got to more base gameplay building. I think we're about 30 seconds in. The whole structuring stuff I'm trying to do is so time consuming. Anyways, I built some nice, fast, intense, high CPS drop gameplay and also made a disgusting wave part that That sucks-a-plane is way too hard, so I'll have to fix that later. We'll buff it a little. That is going to be it for tonight. I was about it for day 6. Once again, just trying to catch back on pace with the base gameplay and absolutely no time for structuring or camera work. Day 7, I got started by making this duel off camera. It wasn't too hard to make and I thought it looked really satisfying, but playing it was a bit of a different story. It's actually kind of the big problem of the day. Anyways, I started using Hitbox Trail Mega Hack. It's actually really useful for estimating my difficulty better and where I should place objects. I was also kind of experimenting more with using slopes to make the cube move around, which I thought was cool sometimes. And we're of course making another duel. I feel like this is going to be very skippable with UFO. And honestly, an indicator would not be a bad idea for these UFO clicks. Okay, this is currently really jank. I guess it just doesn't feel natural to click it this early. But then this click ends up coming at a different time and it kind of changes the whole momentum for everything. It's so complicated, man. The classic jank duels problem. Absolutely love going through this all the time. I cannot get this consistent, so I'll just leave that for later me to fix. I need to make this click pattern more interesting. Oh, it's like a sonic wave kind of thing and put spikes on the slope. And I made another really short duel section, which somehow ended up being jank also. And yeah, that was about all for that day. I was honestly feeling very demotivated in this part of the process. After replaying some parts, I began to realize that most of this drop is really jank and inconsistent. And it seems like I'd almost forgotten what I learned in the whole last video. Day 8, I didn't exactly record building anything and didn't do too much today because, you know, I was kind of demotivated. And I was doing some brainstorming and trying to think of a better way to approach building this layout. Anyways, it was now day 9. Okay, I am trying to actually like do structuring while building the gameplay here because I think that'll be a good habit. So you will be seeing a little bit of me copy and pasting structures around. This is something I haven't tried before and I think will save me a lot of time in the long run. As my future self, I can confirm I wish I did this for all the parts. This approach of finding the flow of the gameplay, then buffing it a bit, and then adding structuring to the previous vlog so I don't have to go back and add these structures later is a nice workflow. Blue orb here. I like the idea of that. Alright, where are our... Yeah, these thingies. These kind of hold everything together. I'm just going to copy and paste that. I'm not going to warp it because too much effort. Anyways, I about wrapped things up for the day. And I was super close to done with the base gameplay and a little bit of the base structure. And on day 10, it was time to finish up the base gameplay. I think these are like kind of impossible timings. Okay, I really need to get faster at layout building though. This is like low-key taking me way too long. I kind of like the idea of it like slowing down right here, but then speeding back up. But this last jump is still too hard. Cool. Well, I mean, like, yeah. Now that is all the base gameplay. Well, the base gameplay was done. However, we are not nearly done because there are a ton of parts I left with no camera work and unstructured, pretty much like a majority of the level. So we need to go back and do all that, which is what I spent the rest of day 10 doing. And day 11, we get to probably the least enjoyable part of this process. Adding the camera work and pulses here is just so time consuming for some reason, and doing this all in a row with nothing else is quite boring. I think the lights here at least look pretty nice, but still felt like the energy was kind of lacking. Days 12 and 13, I finished up the majority of the drop. This is taking so long, partially from me just getting kind of bored and you know, maybe doom scrolling on YouTube a little bit, but also the process itself is just long. Anyways, I was experimenting with some shaders here I haven't used much before, and I think it was looking pretty cool, but we are so far from done. Remember, I still gotta playtest this and get playtesters and all that. However, on day 14, I bear good news. I spent some extra time building today and logged in and finished everything up, all the camera work, pulses, and everything up until the last part, which means we're almost there, and it is now time for the playtesting phase. So for this, I went through every single part of the level and fixed any bugs or really annoying clicks or choke points. This took a long time and I had to go through a lot of start positions, and I tried to fix the duels the best I could, but unfortunately it was still not super consistent. And after I had the whole level playing pretty well, I tried to get some decently big runs to test the balancing, but turns out this is way harder than I thought it was, and it was taking too long to really make any progress, and this was the best run I got. Frick. But yeah, it turns out this level is probably a good bit harder than Bloodbath, so I decided I'll just call it there for balancing. Even though the level isn't really balanced right now, I'll kind of play it more in the future and figure things out from there. But anyways, that is it for this layout. Ladies and gentlemen, after about 16 days of building this and a lot of work, I present to you the Wing Ding layout. Well, there you have it. If you'd like to play this or just play testing, give me feedback, well, here is the ID right here. This will be an unlisted layout for now, but maybe in the future I'll decorate this or make this like a completely playable layout with no secret ways. I'm not too sure. So far, the little bit I played, I actually enjoyed quite a bit and found it pretty satisfying. I think I'll kind of just have this layout as something I play for fun when I want to. Try to make it pretty difficult so I can also just push my geometry skill while playing my own layout. I kind of want to see how hard I can make this and still beat in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, maybe I'll decorate it, probably not, but that is possible. Anyways, however, for gameplay improvement, I don't think I'm quite done yet, but I think we're not too far. I'll be making at least one more layout, or maybe even two, and I'll probably make them a bit shorter this time. In the next video of the series, I think I'll start off by building a little duel challenge to get better at duels, since they still take me really long to build and end up inconsistent. And of course, in the next video, I'll also be finishing a complete layout again, just trying to improve on everything and improve on flow and song representation. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for now. I think this was a success. I was happy with how this turned out. If you enjoyed this video, here are plenty of videos similar to this on screen. And if you want to see the next part of this and some build streams for the next layouts, I would recommend you to subscribe, because you know, it would help me out a lot. But anyways, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's been like the last week and non-stop working on this video, so I truly do appreciate you watching all the way here. And yeah, see you in the next one.